So we're going to do this manually, so I'll give you some signs when I'm ready. I'm going to flip through them pretty quickly. I did add some slides because I knew we'd have some extra people tonight, but I wanted to start off by saying, and you can change that to a slide that we've had before that I think is really significant to the beginning of the presentation, that it takes, there are different roads, different paths to supporting a high-quality school district, and right in the center is the educational programming that we deliver. Certainly, it is important to know that our finances and facilities are right there. We're kind of in a situation like this where we have paths and we have challenges, and they're kind of going in their own direction, and the hope is, at the end of this process, is that these paths all come together. And the next slide. This is a look into the future. I will say that this presentation will be posted immediately up onto our website. And for some people that may not have been following us and following some of the challenges that we've had, all of our past presentations are located on our website. And with KBEV doing a lot of the organizing and placing things on our website, all of the presentations are available to you, as well as all of the videos. So please feel free to go back and look at those as well. So the mission and the most important thing that we can do as a school district is continuously look at and improve our teaching and learning. And we've been talking about that. Mr. Wilmer brought that up as well, as far as the educational audit that we're doing for our regular education and special education courses. And it's really important to keep in mind that, if you can go back to that slide, that when I first got here, there are amazing things that are happening in our school district, and we just have so many reasons to be proud. But what I've noticed is it's like, in many ways, 5 different school districts in one school district. And so the question that I had after several weeks of being here is are we a system of schools, or are we a high-quality, world-class school system? And your most powerful, your most effective school districts are ones that would consider themselves to be a strong, world-class school system. So in the next slide, just some of the educational improvements that that we're going to be looking at, and this is driven by the unique structure that we have here, which is amazing in so many ways. Also limiting in so many ways. As far as some of our opportunities for the future, we're well into the 21st century. Having a lack of some of the flexible learning spaces, creative, collaborative spaces. When we're spread out as much as we are, we have limited opportunities for equity when it comes to some of our partnerships that we're having in our city, which are pretty wonderful. But it's oftentimes it's difficult for some of our partnerships to have to get to 4 different schools. As far as overall, we're looking at there's a greater number of classrooms at each grade level, that there's a certain benefit when it comes to the way that we are grouping our students flexibly, the ability for our teachers at the same grade level to have deep collaborative conversations, reducing the number of singleton classes, which are those where there's just one of, and very difficult sometimes to put a schedule together for somebody. And most importantly is having this wide continuum of learning for our students that sometimes seems to be lacking. Next slide, just with our middle schools, and if you look at the tenets of middle school philosophy are on the left-hand side here, and we're really running as a school district, we're running 4 middle schools. So really, for just over 4,000 students, it's like we're running 9 schools with our elementary buildings, 4 middle schools, and a high school. So that does put us in a difficult position when it comes to the type of support that a middle school is and should provide. The type of curricular options are limited and should be more robust than they are. The extracurricular options, and in a 4 middle school model, it's fair. They're there. But in a combination of any sort, it certainly improves those opportunities for kids. Again, to the flexible grouping of students, the scheduling of students. Very many times students don't have that option for flexibility within their schedules. Many schedules are put together because they just don't have another place for that particular student because of the number of students that are in a grade level in a middle school setting. So there, again, with collaboration opportunities, just placing resources and a concentration of resources in a place that could best meet all students' needs. And then just the professional development opportunities, again, for our teachers when there are more teachers that are teaching like subjects and areas. So the initial charge was, and you can go to the next slide, this has been up before, but the charge was for the administration to create viable options for consideration to improve and enhance educational opportunities for students while ensuring long-term financial sustainability. So that was the charge, and we spent some time putting together a plan for the board to approve for a future focused schools team. And back then we said approximately 20 mixed stakeholder participants. We're at 22. And if anything, we spent the most time on this selection process, and this was something that we had a very long application process that had a lot of open-ended type of questions to ensure that there would be collaborative conversations, that there would be people that are willing to look at another perspective, something that they hadn't normally experienced before. We looked for those types of characteristics. And I have to tell you, and Mr. Nass had mentioned this before, we have just such a magical group, and it's just such a diverse group. And we're just now getting to some really good conversations that are happening. I'm really excited. And as Tristan and Jory will share with you in just a few minutes, it's a really great conversation that's happening. The support from the cabinet, my team that's up here, and some in the audience is just, we are facilitators. We're not driving, but we are experts in our field, and we are there as facilitators and resources throughout the entire process. Just quickly, I'm going to go through these really quick because these are from a former presentation. There was a lot of work that went into our work and selection process before we even picked our people. So we did look at framing and scoping out the work, the requirements. There was a lot of historical information that's really important to us, and that data piece is ultimately what will help us influence our decisions. And just that there were a lot of answers and questions just to build that deep understanding of the work before the work began. So the development it was really critical that we together start having common knowledge, common understanding, and I think that we spent probably the first 3 meetings really committing to the district's vision and the mission, and then also just looking at the data, and all that's available to you as well. So on our website, over to the right-hand side, every single piece of data that we've shared with our team is also shared on our website. So feel free to check that out. So then the work is developed, so we're in the process now with conversations. We're analyzing everything from facilities to staffing to the type of educational programming that we want for all students to have and experience here in our school district. And we will be presenting updates like this one to the Board of Education. Checks and balances as we go along. It's important at the end to get feedback from the Board of Education. It's really important that we get feedback from the community, and we have some systems in place to be able to get that information. And I'll turn this over to Tristan Walker, one of our members of our team, to share a little bit about her experience.
Thank you, Dr. Breggy. I want to start, before I talk about who I am, I want to first start by saying I really appreciate all of the people that came to talk about their concerns. It's really important and really refreshing to see so much passion from the community. This is a big issue. This is a big problem, and we really want your input to solve it. Okay, now I'll go by this slide a little bit. I am an alumnus. I went to Beverly Vista and Beverly. My husband went to El Rodeo and Beverly. Our kids are in the district. We have 4 of them are in the district. You get really nervous standing up in front of all these people, so sorry if I'm sounding a little short of breath. My parents also were district products. For the children that are in this district, it's really important for them to be able to feel safe. It's really important for them to be able to have dimensions of curriculum that work for all of them. What's really important to keep in mind as a community is that we can't be focused on one child, one family. We need to be focused on all of the children and all of the families. My son, my oldest, who is now in New Roads, he's in private school in 11th grade, we were in the district and we had to leave because his needs weren't met, and it made me really sad. But my other 4 children that are in this district are succeeding in stellar fashion. So while it didn't at the time serve, I am very hopeful and optimistic that as we move forward, we can accommodate more of the children's needs for everyone that's in this district. When we first started meeting as a team, let me just say, this group right here, these guys are rock stars. You cannot have better people leading this type of work. Their support is amazing. And board, you guys are awesome too, but we've had more face-to-face time with them. So this is a really good group leading this whole thing. The group that is put together is so diverse. There are people from so many different backgrounds that were teachers, administrators, parents, students in this district, people that came in from LAUSD that had exposure to the way their school board worked and what their structure looked like. So it's very deep what we have access to in this group of people. Personally, this group of people, even beyond what we do here and what our proposal comes up with, I would love to have as a think tank for solving other problems, because they come with so many ideas and so many ways of trying to look at the same issue. To put some fears to rest that I've heard vocalized here, we are not your adversaries. We are not trying to slip something under the rug, put something past you. That is not what we're here for. We are all invested in this community. We wouldn't be spending our time doing this otherwise. We want your input. We want your questions. We want your guidance. We want to hear what it is your concerns are. The K-8 model doesn't work for our district. That doesn't mean it can never work for our district. What it means is that right now that's the dinosaur, and we cannot sustain in this format where we are currently today. So something has to change. It could be the configuration of the schools, it could be the depth of the curriculum that we offer, but we cannot continue where we are now. We are not doing service to our students in this community with the structure that we have now. But to put some of your fears aside, in the time that we've spent together, we came up with 26 different ideas for configuration. 26 different, that's more than the people we have in the room. I'm serious. Debbie, I don't know you, but I remember what you said, closing one of the schools. We've talked about that. Keeping K-8 for 3 of the schools and closing one, that was one of the options that we've talked about and we're looking at. Doing constructions at one of the sites so we can hopefully plan for when enrollment increases, that's another thing that we're looking at. The problem we have in our district is not a financial problem. It's not even just a programming problem. It's an enrollment problem. And all of those things fall under enrollment. We have had enrollment drop every year for the last 9 years. And there's lots of different reasons why. And we all have opinions about construction and metro and litigation and all of those things. But it doesn't change where we are. And where we are needs to be fixed because we can't continue on this path. So please, instead of thinking of us as your adversaries, we're not trying to put anything past you. We want your help. We want to hear what you have to say. We have a link on the website to access all of us. We get to read the emails that you send, your concerns, your questions, and all of the things that we review in our meetings, all of the data points, all of the graphs, all of the discussions are available for public consumption. If you can't find them, ask one of us. We will be happy to tell you. You can put it on in an email to any of the school administrators. and they will forward it to us, make sure that we reach out to you to find out what it is that you're concerned with. We want improvement for our kids. We love this school district. We love this community. We don't want to take anything away from it. We want to make it better. So please understand that we need your support. We want to hear what you have to say, and we want to address those concerns. We need your help and input. So thank you for giving us that. Some of the different things that we've talked about, in addition to 26 different combinations of what reconfiguration would look like, is the depth and the breadth of the opportunities we want to offer to our kids. It's ridiculous that we have one foreign language Spanish-speaking teacher that has to straddle 2 different schools and leave from one to go to another. That's one of the issues that we're trying to fix. We need our kids to have access to these teachers. We need the teachers to have more time to dedicate to our students. What we're seeing in the success of the students that are coming through this district, this is not success building on success. This is us treading water with what we have to try and stay relevant. We want to be better than just staying relevant. We want to be stellar, and we need your help to do that. So let us know your concerns. Please don't feel like we're unapproachable. There's nothing hidden from you guys. We have not made any recommendations to the board yet. We're still just refining what we want to propose, what we think is the best fit. We are daily emailing LaTanya, asking questions about permits and what that looked like and what the funding is from the state in different situations. So realize that there's a huge amount of depth that goes into these considerations, a lot of data points. And at the end of the day, all of us are trying to accomplish raising the school district to a place it hasn't seen in probably 20 years. That's what our hope is. That's what we're here for, and that's what we're doing.
What she said.
Sorry. I said a little more than what I was supposed to. I didn't follow the slide.
No, that's great. All right, I am Jory Lindsay. I'm short. I'm done here. Okay, I'm Jory Lindsay, and as are all of you, I too am quite a stakeholder in this community. 21 years in Beverly Hills Unified School District, 21 years in kindergarten at Hawthorne. But what I think I brought to this team was many, many hats. In my 21-year tenure, I'm also a middle school teacher currently, kindergarten and middle school. Guess I'm that crazy. And I teach middle school musical theater. I direct and choreograph. So I run the gamut of the emotions of students and students' needs. I've also raised 2 Beverly Hills alumni. I was a K-12 parent, 9 years of Hawthorne faculty liaison, recording secretary. I've worn many hats. I am very invested in this district. So when I heard about this committee, I felt that I had a lot to offer, many perspectives, and in those 21 years, I've seen a lot of blueprints that never came to fruition. So I have experienced many reconfiguration conversations, and I wanted to be able to continue that. On the team, we were provided lots of research. So we're not just pulling some ideas at, oh, how about, why don't we, no, it's research-based. So I was so happy to hear tonight some other research, because we are looking at neuroscience. How does the adolescent brain develop? At what rate? What is necessary in so far as actual guidance, not just academic, but social emotional guidance? Right now, our K-8 model does not provide what our 7th and 8th grade students need to develop them as a whole human being. That brain needs stimulation that it's not getting. We need real electives. Study skills is not an elective. It might be necessary for a number of students, but having a class with 5 kids in one school, this was mentioned before, 3 kids in another school, we are not serving those students well. Having one counselor split between 2 campuses is definitely not what our middle school students need. So those needs are not being met. There's many options, as Tristan said, and when I came to the team, I had a lot of half-baked ideas. The input from these people has created in me ideas that I didn't have before I came. And one of the things I want to talk about is, as a K-8 parent, I really liked the K-8 model. I liked that it was convenient. We have to keep thinking about that because I think that's become an obstacle. It was convenient, but in hindsight, I realized that that was sentimental. It's an emotional choice, and it's not educationally sound. To think that we can keep our young teens young, have you heard of the internet? It's unrealistic. So it's not educationally sound. So our middle school students are clearly at a disadvantage continuing in our current model. Without even discussing dwindling funding, students are missing out on true enrichment through a variety of electives, as well as appropriate and differentiated core classes. One of the resources we had was a series of books by the Association for Middle Level Education. If the board has not had a chance to review these, you have them, really, really look at them. It is very accurate. It draws a very clear, clean picture of the needs, the social, emotional, and academic needs of middle school students. When my former middle school musical theater students visit me during their high school years, they are transformed. They have found their people and their passions. A dedicated middle school, and this is just one model we've discussed, for instance, so bear with me, for instance, a dedicated 7-8 campus, which I hadn't considered before I met with this team. A 7-8 campus would eliminate that limbo. And any of you who've had children in our 6, 7, 8 middle school, my own children, they felt a kind of limbo. When can I get to take the classes I want? Where are my people? Finding their people. So this would eliminate that limbo and allow this growth to happen as students enter adolescence. 7th grade is the most appropriate time for this transition. The board will have a lot of input to weigh. Change is hard, often inconvenient, but status quo is not educationally sound. The work ahead relies heavily on communication, and the most important point of the reconfiguration of communication in general here in our district is, let's remember what is best for kids. And my hashtag is we can do better. Thank you.
So just in conclusion, just some big concept ideas here. I want to make it really clear that, as was mentioned from Tristan, just the number of opportunities, options that are out there, and this is in very draft form. But I just want you to get kind of an opportunity of the types of things that we're working on right now, outside of our day job. It becomes our evening and weekend job. That we're looking at things, and this is really critical for you to know, that we're looking at this work first through the lens of curriculum and instruction and enrichment first. Then the second lens is ensuring that our school district has a sustainable financial future and that we're financially healthy. The next slide will just show you, again, this is very draft, but we are often pigeonholed sometimes when we're out and about, where people have said, you're finished, you've already decided, and we could not disagree with you more. We're going to be bringing a number of options to the Board of Education after we start looking at them as we are now through the instructional lens, and also looking at it financially as well. We are doing some community outreach coming up. We've already started to go to PTA meetings and staff meetings. We want to do some question and answers. We want to get out there, get some community input. Right now on our website, the first thing on the website is a call to people to, if you have questions or input, to please to email us, and you can click right on our website, and you can do that, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. We are already working on arrangements for community forum, town hall event, so that we have breakout opportunities to have conversations when we get further along, and we're working feverishly to provide that information to you, but we're really starting to whittle down a lot of the conversations and options right now. And we also are going to be looking for some student feedback soon in January, as well as our hope to present some configuration options to the board in January. So here's the reality that it was said, President Korbutov just said, change is coming. So we have this opportunity through our future-focused schools to provide that change and opportunity through an instructional lens. The reality is that there's also a plan B, that if you've been around for a while, you know that's when I first started, a couple weeks on the job, it was a directive to shave $5 million off of the budget because of our deficit. So there's plan A and there's plan B that's going to happen. The problem with plan B is it's not systemic in any way. So plan B is cherry picking, and it's how do we reduce, and it's not long term, and oftentimes it's kind of your, what can we get at right away, and oftentimes it doesn't fit in with the rest of the plan. It's just how can we remain solvent financially. That's the problem with just budget reductions. It's a very top-down type of action from the administration to the board. It's happening all over the country, and you can look in a newspaper every day, and there is a school district that is just doing budget reductions. We're really trying to look at this in a more innovative way through curriculum and instruction, and so the plan A is our preference because it's sustainable, and it's better for kids, better for staff. So just our anticipated timeline, and you can see up there we've just added into January because we want to continue some of the conversations that we're having now. They're excellent working opportunities that we're having with the group. We couldn't be any more pleased with our progress, but that gives you kind of an idea of what we're looking at for our next steps. And I welcome this to the Board of Education for any questions. And I just remind everybody, this is a Board of Education meeting, so we're happy to answer some questions after the meeting, but this would be a presentation to the board. So this is really a presentation to the board, but we will be available to you later. But this is a presentation to the board.
Okay, so we're not really allowed to do this because it's our meeting done in public. That's the idea. So you're welcome to reach out to any one of us, but we really know very little. We know just about what you just heard. The best questions are to Dr. Breggy or anyone on the committee. Thank you, ladies, for your presentation. It's a pleasure to finally see some of you in the flesh. Thank you. Dr. Breggy, I'm just so happy you're doing this. We'll have as many town halls as you think necessary, you and the committee. I just want to say to the board that in the old days, we just would budget cut, and not all cuts are equal. And every dollar is attached to a person or a program. And it hurts something or someone. And there's no equity involved. It's like brainless. It's just like cutting. It's just like shaving down to the bone. And it just makes no sense. This is targeted. This is with thought. This is with strategy. This is with real understanding of where you're heading. I don't want to do blind budget cuts anymore. I did that over years, sometimes more, sometimes less. It's too painful, and the end results are too painful on the back end. And then half the time we restored, there was chaos, hurt feelings, fears, anxieties, tears. It's just, and there's no equity. Some kids did better, others did worse, some teachers, it makes no sense. So I'm thrilled that you're doing this, thank you, and I'll let the other board members speak. I just wanted to let you know that you have a chance to talk even after the meeting. We're going to adjourn very shortly.
I'd just like to thank the committee for all their long, tireless work with regard to this issue. And I think something that you guys pointed out was very important with regard to how our middle school students transition and become prepared for high school. And as a high school student government leadership class, we've had a number of conversations about what are the specific areas of concern in terms of how our freshmen are entering the high school, what are their areas of strength, and what are the areas that as students we would have loved to have had ourselves, those opportunities. And there were a few areas that we pointed out, and the first was maturity. When you look at freshmen entering the high school, a lot of them haven't been exposed to that huge environment. They're going from being this big fish in a small pond to all of a sudden, wow, there's 1,500 kids around me, and I'm just one person. And in addition to that, students aren't as exposed to, to diverse groups of people and ideas. And within the community, there's this sentiment that we need to keep our students young. Why do we need to keep our students young? We need to look for our students to be prepared for an ever-changing world. We need our students to understand what's going on around them, not just within their bubble of a smaller middle or elementary school. In addition to that, we talked about educational opportunities. I know from my time in middle school, I had classes with 7 or 8 people.
Yep.
And I had friends who had classes with 3 or 4 people.
Yep.
How does that class benefit our students? How is that fiscally manageable? And how do we aim to prepare our students for the future where we have several groups of small classes when we could put them together, help them group with peers, collaborate, and ultimately save money while improving the quality of our education? And the final thing is our extracurricular opportunities as students. When you look at clubs like robotics, you see that we have tremendous success at the high school level, but that could be improved if there was a strong vertical transition program where students in middle school were working as a group, as not just 4 individual middle schools with distinct programs, but one large middle school, or several other options are on the table that would allow students to take advantage of understanding what's coming next. A couple weeks ago, a couple meetings ago, the water polo team came. It was recognized by the board for their run through CIF. And we ultimately, although we went far, we didn't win. But the team that ended up winning was Harvard Westlake, which actually starts their sports programs in 6th grade. Students start playing water polo in 6th grade, and that ultimately gives them the advantage in terms of by the time they've gotten to being a senior in high school, they have 3 additional years of experience. And that kind of mentality doesn't have to be water polo, but it applies to all of our clubs, all of our extracurriculars, and our coursework as well. How can we get students exposed as early as possible and allow them to succeed in the future? So regardless of whatever options are presented, I appreciate the hard work you guys are putting in. And I just wanted to bring a student perspective to this because in the ASB leadership class, we've had a number of conversations about this. And I want our community to look at this in terms of the perspectives of really the true stakeholders in this process, which are the students and what they hope for in their educations.
Thank you, Jonathan. Mic drop.
I want to be brief, but it's worth, first of all, I want to say that the superintendent is doing everything he possibly can to make the decisions that we need to make part of all of the stakeholders, have stakeholders influence, the community influence, and it's so important to do that. And so I really commend you the effort that you're putting in to do things that way. Let me say real briefly, there's really two significant issues here. One of them is that having 4 middle schools with the low student population we have, look at it realistically. We've got a case where in a particular school in the 6th grade, there are 57 students. 57 students in the entire 6th grade. Now, if you think about it for a minute, how limiting is that? How many electives, how many different course offerings can you offer 57 students? How much differentiation can you do in the core classes? Remember, 57 students. What are you going to get down to? You're going to get down to 3 students in a class so that you can offer a whole bunch of wonderful electives? This is a real significant problem. And that's what this committee is facing and dealing with. The other thing is a structural operating deficit. And I want to explain this real simply. Over the past 6 years or more, this district has had a growing operating deficit where your expenditures are greater than your revenue. And the primary reason for it is we have too many teachers for the number of students we have. That's the problem. Now, I've heard lots of people say, well, look somewhere else. Cut this, cut that. As President Gorbatov said, that's been done over the years. What boards did say, well, okay, we've got 4 executives, our superintendent and 3 assistants. Let's cut it down to 2. Let's cut this. In our business office, we've got 6 or 8 employees. Let's cut it down by 2. That's not the way to solve any problems. First of all, you can't save the amount that you need to save. And in this kind of a structural operating deficit, the longer you let it go on, the bigger the deficit is. It's now at the point where it's about $5 million a year. And we can't live with it. So I tell you people who are so concerned about change, whatever the change will be, it will be better. It will be change that will be better. It will improve our academic program, and it will bring us into financial stability. So more to come. Thank you.
For the parents that are here, I want to thank you for being here and expressing your views. In the ensuing weeks, in January through February, we're going to spend dozens of hours together. So at this point, I don't want to influence the process, sitting as judge, jury, and hopefully not executioner with regard to this district. I don't want to influence the process. I will reserve my comments once recommendations are made by the committee. Clearly, I want to thank the FFS team for presenting here tonight, because as Ms. Gorbatov indicated, you're better off in the community speaking to Superintendent Breggy, his staff, and that team, because they're really doing the deep dive. Ultimately, we will assimilate that information and discuss it with the community and then make a decision that's best for everyone. And if the 2 parents that are here this evening, parents and your parent and a teacher in the district, if you're any indication as the representatives of this team, then I know we're in good hands. So I look forward to your final recommendations, and I thank you for all the hours you're putting in for the benefit of our students in this district.
Mrs. Walker, hi. I don't think I've ever met you. Nice to meet you. And Mrs. Lindsay, I think I see you here and there, but we never really crossed paths. So hello to both of you, and thank you for being here. I just want to really clarify. First of all, I thank you for your presentation, and I want people in the audience and to those listening tonight to know that the board hasn't had this information before. This is the first time we're hearing this information from these two presenters from the committee. And so we're learning about this as you are. And so there's nothing that I heard a comment said tonight. I don't remember who said it, but it was something about why isn't information being shared? And I think that it's a little bit of unfair because I think it has been shared. You should be I know that the information has been talked about a little bit at the PTA meetings. I know that at every board meeting since, I think, August or September, we've had a presentation from Dr. Breggy on what they're working on, what they will be working on. And so we're receiving the information constantly. And so I would really invite you all to continue to participate. We had a budget study session last Friday. Nobody was there, right? And so we specifically focused on the numbers. If you were interested in learning about the numbers, that would have been, and there's going to be future ones, I am assuming, correct? So please come, answer your, learn with us as we navigate through these waters together. We're all in it together. There's no agenda here other than trying to really establish the best purpose for our institution to serve our students in our community. And we want stability. We don't want to cut. Sitting here and having people come, I've been here twice, and I can't imagine what other board members feel and experience when they hear these cuts being made over and over, proposals for cuts. It's a heartache. I mean, it really hurts. And we don't take any pleasure in it. We don't take any pleasure at all. It's very real. As a parent, I want to just say to Mrs. Lindsay, I really appreciated your comments about a parent wanting to hold on to a KE model. I'm a parent of 3 children, and of course we want our children never to grow up. I realize that, especially as my sophomore now. I tell my other 2 kids we only have 2 more years with him. And it's kind of a bittersweet moment in our family to acknowledge that change is coming. And I think, as Mrs. Korbutov so eloquently said, change is coming. I think it is coming. I don't know how. I can't tell you it's going to be like the instance or the example that I just gave about my child. I know that he has 2 more years. That's inevitable. I don't know how this Future Focus Schools Committee and the outcome that we will have in adopting a recommendation will be like. But I know that everyone on this board is committed to listening, to learning, and making decisions together. So you're welcome to reach out. I'm sure, I don't know, Dr. Berge, I'm assuming, another thing that I want to really clarify, I went to the Horseman Boutique this weekend, and I also did the walk on Sunday. So many parents from Beverly Vista came up to me and said, well, no one wants to talk about Future Focus Schools to us. Nobody. We've asked, and, it's a hush. And so that naturally has developed some insecurity in these parents. I'm not sure how or what mechanism is in place for parents to ask questions, but I said, your principal is part of this Future Focus Schools Committee. I'm assuming, Mr. Fuhrer, that you are an open book and that you're answering questions. Well, your parents were the ones who were saying that the contrary. Yeah, so I do understand that one more petition is to be expected, or, I understand that. But, just today I got an email from 2 parents at my school asking me to sign the petition. So that tells me that they don't even know that I'm on the school board, which is fine.
Actually, I was sent the petition as well. So.
Really? No, but 2 parents said, Isabel, so-and-so gave me your name. Could you please sign on? Your son is friends with my son. And I thought that was really interesting because... and I wrote back to one parent, what's going on? Well, I don't know, but I've signed it. So that's the kind of reaction that
we can all spark with good intent, I'm sure. But before we say we're here to inform what's going on, let's go through this process together. I invite you to be part of that process. I really mean that with all my heart, and I hope that you understand that there is no preconceived outcome that we were expecting in this process. Right. It really is a process that we are all in it together, you and I, everyone on this board. And so please join us in this journey rather than declaring that there is an outcome already to be expected. That is quite unfair. And I do understand the fear. I do understand. I'm sensitive to the unknown. I understand that very clearly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Hacker. And I just, for a note to clarify, there was a meeting this evening at 4:30 with PTA at Beverly Vista. So we're coming to all the schools, and we're going to be coming by frequently.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll just make it quick. The hour is late. We are hungry. Time marches on. Facts are we have approximately 2,000. Let that number sink in for a second. 2,000 less students in the district than we had when we were a robust 4 K-8 high school district. We're concentrating, I think, on the wrong thing. I don't know what's going on, but I'll tell you this. Very easy on the website, bhusd.org. Click on Future Focus Schools Team. On that page, there's a little link. It says Data. I want to encourage everyone to go look at the data. I did this on my own. I gave myself a little homework assignment. I went and looked at the data. I haven't spoken to anybody about it. And I started looking at numbers, taking spreadsheets, and mapping things out. And I'm going to see when everything is presented to us in January how that aligns with my thinking and where I'm at with this. But I'm not basing any presumptions, decisions, anything on speculation. I'm actually looking at hard data. Just like the hard data of how fewer students are in the district. We're at a crossroads of what we were or what we're not going to be anymore versus what we can be. And I think a lot of us are honestly freaking out about change. And if we can take a deep breath, look at the data, wait, get involved, ask questions, get answers, then it's not going to be a shock. Whatever happens, it's not going to be a shock. In fact, hopefully, and I spoke to this to Dr. Breggy from the beginning, is that most of the community will be pining for it. They'll look at it and say, wow, we can be this? Well, let's have that then. And then we'll start being upset that we weren't that sooner. And that's the direction that I hope the community will give everybody working on that committee a chance to get out and present to them. So, and I don't think any of us here have ever been to any of your meetings. Right. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. And can we just end with a 60-second clip, and then we're finished?
Am I supposed to wave a wand or something and get the clip?
If I can just, for one moment, just to draw a comparison, change is really hard for this community. I get it. For all of us really in LA. If any of you remember when the area code changed from 213 to 310, oh my God, this is that. It needs to happen, and it's going to suck for a little while, and people are going to be concerned, but we're all going to eventually evolve, and we're going to be like, thank God, that's so much better now. So
I'm glad you didn't say 424.
I haven't gone there yet.
I'm the proud parent of 3 children who attend Horace Mann, and I hope they receive the same wonderful education that I received at Hawthorne and Beverly Hills High School.
21 years a kindergarten teacher, middle school musical theater director, and a parent of 2 Beverly Hills alumni. reconfiguration because we need to do what's best for kids.
I'm a new parent to the Beverly Hills School District, and I want to make sure that my kids are provided the best opportunities in the future.
I'm the principal of Beverly Hills High School, and I believe we have the opportunity to help each student reach his or her maximum potential.
I am a district parent who's taken my kids in and out of private school. I recognize that we have a unique opportunity now to make meaningful changes.
I'm the principal at El Rodeo School.
And I'm a parent of 3 El Rodeo alumni.
And we want to see more opportunities for our middle school students.
I'm a music teacher, and I've worked in the district for 10 years. I'm a parent. My son attended Horace Mann at Beverly Hills High School. I'm also the middle school director for the Beverly Hills Education Association, and I'm concerned for the job security of my colleagues.
I'm a parent who's passionate about our schools and wants to see them shine as they once did.
I'm a parent of 4 district students and 1 private school student.
And I'm the parent of 2 students who've been in both private school and here at the district.
As alumni, we want Beverly Hills education to be challenging, safe, nurturing, and effective for all students.
I'm the principal of Beverly Vista School and a parent, and I'm encouraged that this group can find solutions to the long-standing issues that have faced this great school district.
I want to help spark the spirit of creativity and innovation that lives within inside every one of our kids in this community.
I'm a 3rd grade teacher at Hawthorne and the parent of 2 high school students. I would love to see exceptional, progressive educational opportunities for our middle school students.
I'm the son of a district alum. My 4 sisters and I all went to schools in this district, and my son is an alum. I look fondly backward at our time in the district, but I think it's time for us to look courageously forward.
I'm a math teacher who has taught for 24 years at Beverly Vista. I want to help the district find the most effective ways to address the academic needs of all of our students.
I'm the city liaison for the Joint Powers Agreement and looking forward to the continued relationship between the city and school district.
I'm a retired 8th grade teacher who taught English at Beverly Vista School for decades. I truly understand the advantages and the disadvantages of the K-8 school.
We are the Future Focused Schools team.
And our community's work has just begun.
Wow, Dr. Breggy, that's wonderful. That ends on a very high note. Thank you.
Special thank you to Mrs. Skirty.
Miss Skirty, where are you? I don't know. Oh, hi, Laura. Okay, thank you so much. It was great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to see everyone there. Okay.